Hey, Michael Church, Crawl Space Ninja. Today I put together a compilation of 4 different videos for you all. These are 4 videos that have to do with crawl space insulation. Everything from putting foam board or insul barrier on foundation walls. Is that a danger to the foundation wall itself? Also, crawl space repair mistakes that people make. I saved that for the end of the video, so make sure you stay tuned to that. Which should you do first? Should you install vapor barrier on the foundation wall? If you're going with a foam board, should you install that on the foundation wall? Of course, we have moved exclusively to the insulation vapor barrier for the most part, so we recommend that product. But if you are going to put foam board on the wall, which should come first, the plastic or the foam board? And also, is adding foam board to the subfloor a good idea when you have fiberglass or rock wool insulation above it? And we are trying to hit 100,000 subscribers. We hope you will subscribe to our channel. And if you need a consultation or any help with your crawl space, basement, and attic, we've got information in the description of the video so you can do a consultation with either myself or AJ. So I hope you like this compilation video. Let's get to it. Hey there, Michael Church, Crawl Space Ninja. We got a great question about should I put plastic or foam board on a wall for fear that it might cause a wall problem in the future. I have a company that is going to dig trenches and place a sump pump system in my crawl space. They are going to remove the old insulation and disinfect the beams, lay down new plastic. They told me that they will put new insulation in the floor but won't put it on the block walls because they are finding it traps moisture in the block wall and can cause damage over time. Do you know if this is correct? I can't tell you how many times we have heard that response from contractors saying that putting either a foam board insulation or a plastic on the cinder block wall, if the block is taking on water, damages the block wall. First of all, I have never seen any evidence that this is true. And if somebody does have evidence that is true, we would sure love to see it, but I've looked everywhere. I've Google searched, I've talked to engineers, I've talked to concrete people, and it never is been proven or never has been proven to be true. But contractors, crawl space contractors, still use that as an excuse to not put foam board or plastic up walls. If it is true, then the interior basement waterproofing industry that is out there, whenever they put plastic up the wall, they use a sheeted plastic up the wall, and then they create a footer drain down in the concrete. It would damage those walls as well, right? So why does it only damage crawl space walls if you do it plastic up the wall, but it doesn't damage basement walls if you do plastic up the wall? So anyway, that is a myth because I've never seen anything proving that it is in fact real. So this question comes from Tim, and it sounds like he's going to be putting foam board on his foundation walls, and he wants to know, does he have to put vapor barrier up as well? Depends on what kind of foam board you use, Tim, but basically what you can do is the foam board itself can be a vapor barrier. Our termite resistant foam board can be a vapor barrier, and of course the blue and pink stuff that you get at Home Depot or Lowe's also can be a vapor barrier. So it may not be necessary to actually put a vapor barrier over the foam board, but if you're worried about aesthetics and you want it to look nice, then you may want to put the vapor barrier over the foam board versus under. If you decide to put it under the foam board, whenever you attach the foam board, you could pierce the vapor barrier in that process. So what we typically do is we'll put the foam board on and then put the vapor barrier over the foam board so that it looks nice and it's also controlling moisture that could be coming through the foundation wall. I just got a great question from Justin, and what he's wanting to know is, can he put foam board insulation over the fiberglass insulation that's already located between the joists of his crawl space? Here's the thing I fear, Justin. What if you have moisture built up inside that fiberglass insulation? If you do, you're going to trap that moisture between the subfloor and the foam board, and it's going to rot out your subfloor. Secondly, even if you made sure that the fiberglass insulation was completely dry, you could actually have a leak and trap the moisture inside between the subfloor and the foam board in the future. And obviously that's going to lead to wood rot and mold and things as well. So if you're going to insulate the subfloor, I don't recommend you trap it with either a vapor barrier or anything like that. Okay, Lawrence recently asked a question on our 5 crawl space encapsulation mistakes video that you should avoid. He was asking, which do we recommend? Insulation being put back into the subfloor, and I'm assuming a fiberglass insulation or a rock wool insulation, or is it best to insulate the walls? We prefer insulating the walls of the crawl space, and the reason why is, number one, if it gets wet, if it gets dirty, it's okay. If you ever get a leak down in the crawl space, you don't have to replace it. Unlike fiberglass insulation, if it becomes wet, you're supposed to instantly replace it because it loses its R value. Number two is fiberglass insulation is a great place for critters to be housed. So if you got possum or mice or things like that, they're gonna go to that insulation and live in there. The third thing is we also like to be able to see the subfloor. Insulation hides a lot of things. I was just in a house where there was a condensation line coming from a second story of the house down through the main floor into the crawl space from the heating and air unit, and there was a 45-degree elbow that was leaking, and we didn't even know it was leaking because it was hidden behind the insulation that was up in the subfloor. The fourth thing is, if you ever do get a leak, the subfloor insulation is going to keep that water from being evaporated and dried faster. So if you get a toilet leak or some kind of pinhole in the copper line or something like that, the insulation will hide that leak and can rot out the subfloor. So having the subfloor exposed will actually give you an opportunity to see the leak on the vapor barrier, which is kind of nice. And of course, the fifth thing that we run into is normally there's less wall space than floor space, which means that it's less expensive to insulate the perimeter or the wall of the crawl space versus the subfloor with any type of insulation. So great question, Lawrence. We really appreciate you writing us. I hope you like this video. I hope it answers some questions that you might have in the future. Thanks again, and make it a blessed day.